Don't judge the 2024 49ers just by what you've seen so far. Last season, a lot of people were ready to write them off. The reviews looked rough, and the story seemed like a mess. But if you dig deeper, there's actually some really solid stuff going on that most of us missed. Today, I've got two pieces of good news for you, plus a bonus later on that you're definitely going to want to hear. We're talking about three major storylines coming at you, all centered around the 49ers and what they're bringing into this new season. Let's start by looking at the offense, because that's where the questions start. If someone had gathered all the stats for every NFL team last year, tracking what percentage of their drives ended in punts or turnovers, where would you guess the 49ers ranked? If you're anything like me, you probably guessed near the bottom of the league. That seemed to make sense given how frustrating the offense looked at times. But here's the twist. The 49ers actually ranked tied for 8th in the NFL with only 45% of their drives ending in a punt or turnover. That's way better than most expected and a stat that definitely flies under the radar when people talk about how the offense performed. Now, that stat feels a bit contradictory when you consider that the 49ers were 27th in the league for turnover differential, which is pretty rough. It's basically near the bottom, and turnover differential is a key metric that usually reflects how well a team protects the ball and creates takeaways. So, how is it possible to be nearly at the bottom in turnover differential, but still rank in the top 10 in avoiding punts or turnovers? I took a closer look, and I think there are two big reasons for this discrepancy. The first is strength of schedule. It became clear late in the season that the 49ers had one of the toughest schedules in the entire NFL. Teams that looked weaker at the beginning of the year actually got better, which made the 49ers' path much more difficult than initially thought. Playing against tougher opponents means they faced defenses that capitalized on their mistakes more efficiently. That alone can skew stats like turnover differential, especially when you're facing some of the league's best defensive units week after week. So while the offense may have taken care of the ball more than expected, the defenses they faced were more adept at forcing turnovers. The second factor is that the offense might actually deserve more credit than it's been given. There's been a lot of talk about how weak the offense was, especially when key players like Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey were out or limited by injuries. Some even claimed the offense was struggling to figure things out, but the numbers tell a different story. The 49ers weren't punting or turning the ball over as much as a lot of teams. That means they were generally managing possession well, executing their job on offense in a way that doesn't get enough praise. It doesn't cover everything. Field goals and missed kicks aren't part of this stat. But in terms of sustaining drives and avoiding giveaways, the offense held up better than a lot of people realize. It's also important to recognize that the defense and special teams had a rough year, which influenced the overall perception of the team. Often, when a team struggles, the offense takes the blame, but last season the defense and special teams were the real weak points. Despite that, Brock Purdy showed some encouraging signs. He didn't have a flawless season, but his EPA, expected points added, ranking suggests he was more effective than many assumed. So the narrative that the offense was the biggest problem isn't entirely accurate. Turning now to some exciting news on the roster front. The 49ers added a promising piece on the offensive line. Colby, a 7th-round draft pick. He might have flown under the radar because of where he was selected, but the buzz around him is pretty strong. He's a big guy with explosive athleticism, especially for a lineman his size. One of the biggest positives people are highlighting is his consistency. He stays healthy and is reliably on the field, which is huge considering how much the 49ers line struggled with injuries last year. Remember, the team was constantly adjusting because of so many linemen going down during OTAs and training camp, which led to opportunities for guys like Dominic Pond. Luckily, Pond ended up stepping up, but ideally, you don't want your front line falling apart due to injuries. Beyond his durability, Colby fits perfectly into the 49ers' outside zone running scheme. That's a system that demands linemen who can move laterally and maintain strong blocks in space. And by all accounts, Colby checks those boxes. His ability to keep pace with the running backs and create running lanes makes him a natural fit. Right now, he's considered depth, but if he manages to stick on the roster, there's definitely something worth watching here. The team clearly sees potential in him. Now, there are some questions about his pass protection, which isn't unusual for a rookie lineman, especially one who played mostly in a run-heavy system in college. He needs to improve there to handle some of the NFL's elite defensive linemen and edge rushers. But here's a fun fact that stands out. Colby scored a 9.5 out of 10 on his relative athletic score, or RAS, which is a way to measure an athlete's physical abilities. That's an incredibly high score, putting him among the top 90 guards out of more than 1,700 prospects dating back to the late 80s. For a seventh-round pick, that's absolutely outstanding and shows the kind of raw athleticism the 49ers are betting on. It's common for players who are college tackles but lack the prototypical NFL size or skills at that position to slide inside to guard, and that's likely part of why he fell so late in the draft. But the 49ers have a knack for finding talented athletes who could develop new skills and adjust to their scheme. Given Colby's explosiveness, intelligence, and durability, he's exactly the kind of player they want in that system. Before I wrap this up, there's one more piece to the puzzle involving recent moves the 49ers have made to strengthen their defense. They traded for Bryce Huff, a 27-year-old edge rusher from the Eagles. The cost was a fifth-round pick in the 2026 draft, which could become a fourth-rounder if Huff hits certain performance markers. This kind of conditional trade is smart, because if Huff turns out to be the player the 49ers hope for, they don't regret giving up a mid-round pick. If not, the cost was minimal. This trade makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. The team has missed on some draft picks in the middle rounds in recent years, so acquiring a player with proven NFL experience for a pick that could be relatively low risk is a savvy move. Huff fits well into Robert Saleh's defensive scheme and should add depth and pass-rushing ability at a position where the 49ers want to improve. The key challenge now will be how well the team can handle first and second downs to force opponents into obvious passing situations where Huff can come in and make an impact. This puts pressure on the young defensive players to generate early stops and create those second-and-long scenarios. Overall, the picture forming is that the 49ers are better positioned than many believed. The offense, while imperfect, was more efficient in some ways than expected, and with new additions like Colby and Huff, plus the possibility of a stronger defense and special teams, there's reason to be optimistic as the new season approaches. Building off everything we just covered, the 49ers' offseason moves and roster developments offer even more reason for optimism, especially when you look at the way this team has been constructed and how the coaching staff is approaching their game plan. There's a strong sense that the struggles of last year were not because of a flawed identity or scheme, but more about the circumstances and some bad luck with injuries and tough competition. The patience that the front office has shown in sticking to their core philosophy, combined with shrewd additions, means this team could be poised for a rebound in 2024. One of the key reasons to feel good about the offense moving forward is the continuity they're maintaining. Even with injuries to key players like Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, the system itself didn't completely break down. The offense didn't suddenly lose its identity or fall apart. Instead, it showed resilience, adapting to challenges while still managing to avoid turnovers and keep drives alive at a respectable rate. The offensive line, often the backbone of any successful attack, is getting better too, with promising young players stepping up alongside experienced veterans. If Connor Colby can develop his pass protection as expected, that will further solidify the front, which is critical for both the run game and giving Brock Purdy more time in the pocket. Speaking of Purdy, it's worth emphasizing how his performance last season, while inconsistent at times, was better than the popular narrative. His EPA numbers tell a story of a quarterback who managed to do enough to keep the offense afloat despite facing a relentless defensive schedule. He showed flashes of being a reliable starter and has the potential to take another step forward with more experience and improved protection. The coaching staff clearly believes in him, which is crucial because stability at the quarterback position sets the tone for the entire offense. Beyond the quarterback in line, the receiving core also has reasons for optimism. Although injuries have hampered their top targets, players like Deebo Samuel, when healthy, are game changers. Their unique ability to make explosive plays, both as receivers and runners out of the backfield, gives the offense a versatile weapon that defenses have to respect. Add in Christian McCaffrey's skill set, and you have a dynamic duo that can create mismatches in a variety of ways. When those pieces are on the field together, the offense looks much more dangerous. The hope is that with better health and more opportunities, these playmakers will elevate the unit as a whole. On the defensive side, the addition of Bryce Huff is just one part of what could be a more aggressive and effective pass rush. The team needs to apply consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks early in downs to create easier situations for the rest of the defense. Last year, the 49ers struggled in this area, which put extra strain on their secondary and made it tougher to stop opposing offenses. Huff's presence could help change that dynamic by giving the defense a weapon they can rely on in obvious passing situations. If the young defensive players can learn to capitalize on those opportunities and force more third-and-long scenarios, the whole defense should benefit. Another factor worth highlighting is the 49ers' overall draft strategy and talent development. The front office has been aggressive in loading the roster with potential impact players, even if it means missing on some picks along the way. This approach accepts that not every draft choice will be a home run, but maximizes the chance of landing a few difference makers by sheer volume and strategic scouting. Players like Fred Warner, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel are prime examples of successful hits that can transform a team's fortunes. When you consider that the 49ers have often had multiple picks in each round, it gives them flexibility and leverage to build a competitive roster year after year. This strategy also allows for calculated trades, like the Bryce Huff deal, where the team doesn't overpay but still adds players who can contribute right away. It's a smart balance between building through the draft and acquiring proven talent, which is essential for sustained success. The 49ers seem to have a clear vision and philosophy for how they want to build their roster, and it's paying off. Of course, no team is without its questions and challenges. The offensive line, despite the promise of players like Colby, still has some uncertainty, especially in pass protection. The young defensive players have to prove they can step up and perform consistently at a high level. Injuries always remain a wild card, particularly for skill position players who have been banged up in recent years. Looking ahead, if the 49ers can stay healthier, improve on some of the weaknesses from last year, and continue to develop their young talent, they could surprise a lot of people in 2024. This isn't a team that should be dismissed or underestimated based on last season's struggles or early criticism. The story isn't finished, and there's every reason to believe the 49ers have some of the best parts of their season still ahead of them. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most shocking moves of the NFL offseason, rumors are swirling that star wide receiver Keenan Allen has signed with the San Francisco 49ers. While no official statement has been made by either the team or the player, several sources close to the situation suggest that the deal is all but done, sending waves of speculation through the league and among fans. If true, this would mark a significant shift in the NFC power dynamics. Keenan Allen, long regarded as one of the most reliable and technically gifted receivers in the NFL, spent over a decade as the cornerstone of the Chargers' offense. His precise route running, dependable hands, and veteran leadership made him a fan favorite and a nightmare for opposing defenses. The idea of Allen now joining forces with an already stacked 49ers offense is enough to spark excitement and perhaps some fear across the league. The 49ers, fresh off another deep playoff run, have made no secret of their desire to add more veteran talent to support quarterback Brock Purdy and complement offensive weapons like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. The potential addition of Allen could provide the perfect blend of experience and skill, adding yet another layer of complexity to Kyle Shanahan's already sophisticated offensive scheme. Yet, there are reasons to approach these rumors with caution. The salary cap implications of such a move are significant, especially for a team already loaded with high-profile contracts. How the 49ers might maneuver their finances to accommodate Allen remains a major question mark. Furthermore, Allen has been the face of the Chargers for so long that it's hard to imagine him in any other jersey. Still, reports persist, and some insiders claim that Allen was spotted in the Bay Area earlier this week. Others point to recent cryptic social media posts by the wide receiver, hinting at a new chapter and thanking fans for their support. Posts that many interpret as a subtle farewell to Los Angeles. Until official confirmation arrives, this remains pure speculation. But one thing is certain. If Keenan Allen does indeed sign with the San Francisco 49ers, it could alter the balance of power in the NFC and set the stage for an electrifying 2025 season. Stay tuned as this story continues to develop. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.